Welcome back, survivors. Before the story starts, tap subscribe and comment where you're tuning in from. I'm dropping another story tomorrow, and you'll want to catch it first. 27 survivors, one locked gym, and a teacher who kept seeing students that weren't there. We thought it was the Alzheimer's. Early onset, they said. Tragic, they said. But when those students she kept hallucinating started knocking on the locker room door, when they called her name from the other side, we realized her broken brain wasn't showing her ghosts. It was showing her what was hunting us, and it knew exactly how to get in. My name is Sophie Martinez, and I need you to understand something about Mrs. Keller before I tell you what she did. Before I explain why most of us are dead, she was the best teacher at Riverside High. Everyone said so. She remembered every student's name, every essay topic, every birthday. Her mind was a steel trap until it wasn't. The Alzheimer's diagnosis came 6 months before the outbreak, early onset at 47. She hid it well, too well. That leather notebook in her cardigan pocket became her second brain. Names, dates, lesson plans, where she parked, what she ate for breakfast. I only knew because I'd stayed after class one day and caught her staring at her attendance sheet, tears streaming down her face. "I can't remember who you are," she'd whispered. Then she blinked and recognition flooded back. Sophie Martinez. You sit in the third row. You're writing your college essay about your grandmother. I never told anyone. Maybe I should have. The outbreak hit on a Tuesday during second period. Principal Hendrix's voice cracked over the intercom. Code Black. This is not a drill. I'd never heard fear like that before, raw and animal. Through the classroom window, I watched Mr. Davidson from the math department sprint across the parking lot. 3 figures chased him. They moved wrong, joints bending backwards, heads tilted at impossible angles. When they caught him, I looked away. But the sounds, wet tearing, screaming that turned to gurgling, those I couldn't escape. "Sophie!" Mrs. Keller's hand gripped my shoulder. Her eyes were clear, focused. "Get everyone to the gym, now." We moved fast, collected survivors from empty classrooms, Mr. Patterson from chemistry, blood soaking through his sleeve from where something had grabbed him, Rodriguez, the janitor, carrying a fire axe like he'd been preparing for this his whole life. 14 kids from the cafeteria who'd barricaded themselves with lunch tables. 27 of us made it to the gym before Rodriguez welded the doors shut with a blowtorch from the maintenance closet. The National Guard arrived on Thursday. We thought we were saved. Then we watched through the high windows as soldiers in hazmat suits welded metal plates over every exit. A loudspeaker announced we were in a containment zone. Supplies would be dropped. Help would come. They were lying. We knew it when the screaming started in the neighborhoods beyond the school, when the gunfire went on for hours, then stopped, when the supply drops never came. That was 9 days ago. Now Mrs. Keller sits against the gym wall, her notebook open, whispering names to herself. Sometimes there are names, the 27 survivors huddled in this glorified cage. Sometimes their names I don't recognize. Students who weren't in her second period class. Students who weren't at school when this started. Jessica Thornton, she murmurs, writing it down. Marcus Webb, David Cho. Mrs. Keller, I say, gently kneeling beside her. Those students aren't here. She looks up at me, and for a moment her eyes are empty. Then something clicks. Sophie, you need to eat. She hands me a protein bar from her pocket. I don't tell her I already ate. I don't tell her she gave me this same bar an hour ago. The others are getting worried. I hear them whispering when they think I'm not listening. She's losing it, Mr. Patterson muttered yesterday, talking to people who aren't there. It's the stress, someone else said. We're all cracking. But I see what they don't. The way Mrs. Keller stares at empty spaces in the gym. The way she calls out to students who don't exist. The way she writes their names over and over in that notebook. Like if she remembers hard enough, they'll materialize. At 2 a.m. on the 10th night, the knocking starts. 3 slow, deliberate taps on the locker room door at the far end of the gym. Pause. 3 more taps. I jolt awake, my heart hammering. The sound echoes in the darkness, purposeful, human, not the mindless scratching of the infected we sometimes hear against the metal-plated windows. Do you hear that? Mrs. Keller's voice cuts through the silence. She's already standing, staring at the locker room door. Rodriguez sits up, gripping his axe. Others are stirring now, frightened faces turning toward the sound. The knocking comes again. 3 taps. Methodical. Patient. Someone's in there, Mrs. Keller says. Her voice is steady, clearer than I've heard it in days. My students. They've been trapped in there this whole time. My blood runs cold. Mrs. Keller, no one's been in there. We checked. Jessica and Marcus and David, she insists, walking toward the door. I can feel them. They're scared. They're waiting for me. Rodriguez moves to block her path. Ma'am, we sealed that room on day 1. Nothing living could have survived in there. They're not nothing, Mrs. Keller snaps. They're children. My children. The knocking stops. In the silence that follows, I hear something else, something that makes my skin crawl. Breathing, slow and wet coming from behind that door. And then, faint but unmistakable, Mrs. Keller? We've been waiting for you. The voice sounds young, familiar, like a student asking for help after class. Mrs. Keller's hand reaches for the door handle. Please, the voice whispers. You promised you wouldn't forget us. I grab Mrs. Keller's wrist before she can turn the handle. Her skin is ice cold. Don't, I hiss. We don't know what's in there. She wrenches free with surprising strength. I know exactly what's in there. My students need me. Rodriguez raises his axe. Mrs. Keller, step away from the door, now. The breathing behind the door gets louder, heavier, like whoever's in there is pressing against the metal, listening to us argue. She's going to get us all killed, Mr. Patterson says from across the gym. His wounded arm is wrapped in a shirt that's gone brown with dried blood. She doesn't know what's real anymore. Mrs. Keller spins on him, her eyes blazing. I know my students. I know their names. I know their faces. Just because you've given up on them doesn't mean I have. They weren't here, Patterson shouts. Jessica Thornton, Marcus Webb, they weren't in your second period class? They weren't even at school that day. You're wrong. Mrs. Keller's voice drops to something dangerous. I remember them. I remember everything about them. That's when I notice her notebook on the floor where she dropped it. The leather cover is worn, pages bulging from constant use. I've watched her write in it obsessively for 10 days, but I've never looked inside. I pick it up. Sophie, don't. Mrs. Keller lunges for it, but Rodriguez steps between us. I open to the first page. It's dated 6 months ago, right after her diagnosis. Normal teacher notes, attendance, lesson plans. But as I flip forward, the entries change. The handwriting gets messier. Words are crossed out and rewritten. Then I reach the pages from the past 10 days. My hands start shaking. Every page is covered with the same names written over and over. Jessica Thornton, Marcus Webb, David Cho, Lillian Pratt, Owen Burke, but it's what's written in the margins that makes my throat close up. They're not in the gym. Where are they? I saw Jessica by the basketball hoop. She waved at me. Why did she wave? Marcus is standing by the door. He's just standing there, watching. They don't blink anymore. David told me they've been in the locker room. He said it's dark in there. He said they're waiting. Why do they only appear when I forget to take my medication? The knocking starts again. Faster now. Urgent. Mrs. Keller, a different voice calls from behind the door. Younger, a child's voice. It's cold in here. Please let us out. More voices join in. 5, maybe 6 different students all talking over each other. We're scared. You said you'd protect us. Why did you leave us in here? Mrs. Keller, please. The survivors are backing away from the door now, pressing against the opposite wall. Someone's crying. Rodriguez's knuckles are white on the axe handle. But Mrs. Keller is smiling, actually smiling. You see? She turns to us, triumphant. You hear them? They're real. They've been real this whole time. I flip to the last entry in her notebook. It's from this morning, written in handwriting so shaky, I can barely read it. Sophie keeps telling me they're not real. But they remember me. They know things only my students would know. They know about the essay I assigned. They know about the pop quiz I gave last month. They know my favorite book is To Kill a Mockingbird. How could hallucinations know these things? Unless they're not hallucinations. Unless something is wearing their faces. Unless something has been studying me through the fog in my mind, and now it knows how to get me to open the door. I look up. Mrs. Keller is still smiling, but her eyes are distant, confused. The clarity from a moment ago is gone. Mrs. Keller, I say slowly, did you write this? She blinks. Looks at the notebook like she's never seen it before. Right what? The voices behind the door start singing. It's a song I recognize, a nursery rhyme Mrs. Keller used to sing when students were stressed before tests. Something she did in happier times. Ring around the rosy. Pocket full of posies. Mrs. Keller's face goes pale. How do they know that song? You taught it to them, Mr. Patterson says bitterly. Before this started. Before they died. Before they came back. No. Mrs. Keller shakes her head violently. No. Those students weren't in my class. I never taught them. I never... She stops. Her hand goes to her mouth. I don't remember, she whispers. I can't remember if I taught them or not. The singing gets louder. 6 young voices in perfect harmony, echoing through the gym. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Then silence. Then a single voice, sweet and patient. Mrs. Keller, we learned that song from you. Don't you remember? You sang it to us on the day everything changed. The day you forgot to lock the locker room door. Mrs. Keller's legs give out. She crumples to the floor, staring at the door. I locked it, she breathes. I know I locked it. I wrote it down. I always write things down. I'm frantically flipping through the notebook, searching for any entry about the locker room. There's nothing. No mention of it anywhere. Rodriguez leans close to me. What the hell is in there? I don't answer because I'm looking at something else. Something I missed before. Every page where Mrs. Keller wrote about seeing her missing students, every single one, has a date and time, and every time matches exactly with when she forgot to take her medication. Sophie? Mrs. Keller looks up at me, and for a moment she's completely lucid. Something's wrong. Those voices, they're not my students, but they sound just like them. They know things they shouldn't know. The door handle starts to turn from the inside. We never locked it. Rodriguez moves fast. He slams his shoulder against the door just as it starts to open, forcing it shut. The impact echoes like a gunshot. Barricade it, he roars. Now. Mr. Patterson and 3 others scramble forward, dragging a rolled-up wrestling mat against the door. Rodriguez keeps his weight pressed against it, boots sliding on the polished gym floor. From the other side, something pushes back. Not hard, not violent, just steady, patient pressure. Like whoever's in there knows they have all the time in the world. Mrs. Keller, please. The child's voice is muffled now, hurt. Why won't you help us? Mrs. Keller is on her knees, hands pressed over her ears, rocking back and forth. I'm sorry. I don't remember if you're real. I grab her shoulders. Mrs. Keller, look at me. Did you ever teach students named Jessica Thornton or Marcus Webb? Her eyes are swimming with tears. I don't know. Maybe. I taught so many students over the years. The fog makes it hard to think. I shake her harder than I should. Before the diagnosis, before you started forgetting, did you know those names? She stares at me, and something shifts in her expression. Horror dawns slowly. No, she whispers. Those names, I wrote them down because I was afraid I'd forget students. But I never... I don't think I ever actually. Her voice breaks. Oh, God. What if I invented them? What if my brain created students to fill in the gaps I was losing? The pushing on the door stops. Complete silence from the locker room. Then, a different sound. Wet. Dragging. Like something heavy being pulled across tile. Miss Keller? The voice that comes through now is wrong, too deep for a child. Words stretched and distorted. We know what you're thinking, but you're wrong. We're very real. The lights flicker. In that strobe of darkness and light, I see something that makes my blood freeze. Through the narrow gap between the door and the frame, no wider than my finger, an eye is pressed against the opening. It's not human. The iris is milky white, shot through with black veins that pulse like they're alive. The pupil is dilated so wide it swallows almost the entire eye, and it's staring directly at Mrs. Keller. We've been watching you, the voice continues. Every time you forgot. Every time the medication wore off and your mind opened up. We could see through the cracks in your memory. All those empty spaces where students used to be. All those gaps just waiting to be filled. Rodriguez is shaking with effort, holding the door. What the hell are you? Laughter. Multiple voices at once, overlapping, creating a sound that shouldn't come from human throats. We're what slips through when you can't remember what's real anymore. We're the faces your broken brain invented. And now we're strong enough to be real on our own. Mrs. Keller stands on trembling legs. You're not my students. No, the voice agrees. But you gave us their faces, their names, their memories. You created us in the fog of your forgetting. And when we found others like us, the infected, the changed, the ones who used to be human, we learned we could be so much more. The eye blinks, the lid closes sideways. We learned we could knock. We learned we could speak. We learned we could smile. All from watching you through your confusion. Every hallucination you had, that was us practicing, learning how to be what you needed to see. I look down at the notebook in my hands, at all those entries, all those sightings of students who didn't exist. They weren't hallucinations. They were something teaching itself how to mimic humanity by studying the woman who couldn't tell the difference anymore. How many? I ask. My voice sounds distant. How many times did you appear to her? Every day since the outbreak, the voice says proudly. 47 times total. Once for every year of her life. We learned so much, Sophie Martinez. Yes, we know your name, too. We know all your names. Mrs. Keller taught us well, even if she doesn't remember doing it. Mr. Patterson backs away from the door. This is insane. This isn't possible. Neither is dead people walking, the voice counters. Neither is a virus that rewrites human behavior in hours. Neither is a teacher's broken mind creating a bridge between worlds. But here we are. The pressure on the door increases. Rodriguez grunts, boots squeaking. Mrs. Keller, the voice softens, returns to that childlike tone. You wanted so badly to remember your students. You were so afraid of forgetting them. So we became them. We filled those empty spaces in your mind. Doesn't that make us yours? Doesn't that mean you owe us something? Mrs. Keller is crying now. I didn't mean to. I didn't know. We know. That's what makes it beautiful. You created us by accident, by losing yourself. And now we want to thank you. The eye pulls away from the gap. Open the door, Mrs. Keller. Let us show you what your gift has made us become. Let us show you the children you couldn't forget. 3 slow knocks, gentle, patient. Rodriguez looks at Mrs. Keller. Whatever you do, don't tell her yes. Don't give them permission. I don't think they can force that door open. I think they need you to let them in. Mrs. Keller stares at the door, at the notebook in my hands, at the 27 survivors pressed against the far wall, waiting for her decision. What would you do, she asks me, if you thought there was even a chance real children were suffering in there? Even a tiny chance? I don't answer because I don't know. The knocking continues, steady as a heartbeat, and Mrs. Keller takes one step toward the door. No, Rodriguez's voice cuts through the gym like a whip. Mrs. Keller, stop moving. She freezes. Her hand hovers inches from the door handle. I taught for 23 years, she says quietly. Every single one of those years, I promised my students I would keep them safe, that I would never abandon them, even now, especially now, when I can barely remember my own name. I remember that promise. They're not students, Patterson screams. They're things that crawled inside your head and learned to pretend. Mrs. Keller turns to face us. There's something in her expression I've never seen before, a terrible, resigned clarity. What if you're wrong? What if even one real child is in there, trapped with those things, and I'm their only chance? Then that child is already dead, Rodriguez says flatly. Nothing human survives 10 days locked in a room with whatever that is. The knocking stops. A new voice comes through, small, terrified. Nothing like the distorted speech from before. Please, please someone help me. It's a girl, maybe 12 years old. Her voice cracks with genuine fear. They're in here with me. They're wearing faces, but they're not right. Please. I've been hiding in the shower stalls. I'm so hungry. Please don't leave me. Mrs. Keller's face crumples. There. You hear? A real child. It's mimicking, I say, even as doubt creeps into my chest. It's doing exactly what it said, using what it learned from you. Or, Mrs. Keller counters, something infected got into the locker room, and a real student has been surviving in there, and we're debating whether to save her while she starves. The girl's voice dissolves into sobbing, raw, desperate crying that echoes off the tile walls. Patterson grabs someone's shoulder. We vote. Right now. Who thinks we open that door? Hands shoot up. 7 people. 7 survivors who can't stand the sound of a child crying. Who votes we keep it shut? 15 hands, including mine. 5 people don't vote at all. They're staring at the door, frozen by indecision. Democracy, Patterson says. Door stays shut. Mrs. Keller looks at the raised hands, at the people she's been protecting for 10 days, at me. Since when, she asks softly, did we decide majority rule means we abandon children? Since the children might be monsters wearing skin, Patterson shouts. The girl's crying gets louder, more desperate. Please. They're coming closer. They're reaching for me. Please. One of the non-voters, a junior named Tobias, suddenly breaks from the group. He sprints toward the door. I'm not listening to this anymore, he gasps. I'm not. Rodriguez drops his axe and tackles him. They hit the ground hard. Tobias fights like a wild animal clawing at Rodriguez's face. Let me help her. There's a kid in there. A real kid. 3 others pile on, holding Tobias down. He's screaming now, tears streaming. You're monsters. You're worse than them. You're letting her die. The girl's voice cuts through his screaming. It's okay. I understand. You're scared. I'm scared too. Then she says something that makes my heart stop. Mrs. Keller? Is that you? I remember you. You taught my sister, Emily Burke. You helped her with her college essay last year. Mrs. Keller goes rigid. Emily Burke. Yes. She wrote about her grandmother who survived cancer. She got into Cornell. That's her, the girl says. I'm Owen Burke, Emily's little brother. I was in the cafeteria when it started. I ran, I hid, and I've been in here ever since. I flip frantically through the notebook. There it is, Owen Burke, one of the names Mrs. Keller has been writing obsessively. But there's something else. A note in the margin from 3 days ago. Owen Burke, Emily's brother. But Emily never mentioned having a brother. Did she? I can't remember. I can't remember if she told me, or if I assumed, or if the entry stops mid-sentence, like she forgot what she was writing. Mrs. Keller, I say carefully, did Emily Burke have a brother? She opens her mouth, closes it. Her eyes go distant. She talked about her family, her grandmother, her parents. Did she mention a brother? She must have. I wrote it down. I wouldn't write it down if it wasn't real. Unless, Rodriguez says, still pinning Tobias to the ground, something made you write it down. Something that wanted you to believe Owen Burke existed. The voice behind the door, Owen's voice, laughs. It's not cruel. It's sad. You're so close to understanding, Sophie. Mrs. Keller's mind is like a coloring book with half the lines erased. We just filled in the missing pieces, created memories that felt real because they fit perfectly into the spaces she'd lost. Owen Burke is real because she believed hard enough to make him real. That's not how reality works, I say. Isn't it, Owen, or whatever's using his voice, asks. You believe in God, Sophie. I've heard you pray at night when you think no one's listening. You believe in something you've never seen because it fills a gap in your understanding of the world. Mrs. Keller believed in students she couldn't quite remember. We simply became what she needed to believe in. The philosophy is making my head hurt. Mrs. Keller moves toward the door again. This time, no one tries to stop her. If you're real, she says to the door, prove it. Tell me something only a real student would know. Something I haven't written down. Silence. Then, you have a scar on your left wrist from when you were 16. You tried to cut vegetables too fast, and the knife slipped. You tell students it's from a biking accident because you're embarrassed. Mrs. Keller's hand goes to her wrist, to the thin white line barely visible under her watch. I never told anyone that, she whispers. Not even my husband. You told us, multiple voices say in unison. Every time you forgot and remembered. Every time your mind opened and we could see inside. We know everything about you, Mrs. Keller. Every secret, every regret, every student you've ever failed. Her hand touches the door handle. Then you know, she says, that I've never abandoned a child in my life. She turns the handle. The door swings open. Darkness pours out like liquid. The locker room lights are dead. No emergency backup. Just black emptiness that seems to swallow the gym's fluorescent glow. For 3 heartbeats, nothing moves. Then they step into the light. 6 children, ages ranging from maybe 10 to 15. They're wearing Riverside High gym uniforms, red shorts, white shirts, with the school mascot. Their clothes are clean. Impossibly clean after 10 days in a sealed room. They're smiling, all 6 of them, identical smiles, too wide, too perfect. Mrs. Keller, they say in unison, you remembered us. Mrs. Keller staggers backward. Her hand flies to her mouth. No, this isn't the child in front. A girl with blonde hair in a ponytail tilts her head. The movement is smooth, mechanical, like a doll on a string. I'm Jessica Thornton, she says. You taught me about symbolism in To Kill a Mockingbird. You said the mockingbird represents innocence, destroyed by evil. A boy steps forward, dark hair, freckles. I'm Marcus Webb. You gave me a B+ on my essay about genetic engineering. You wrote in the margin, good argument, but cite your sources. One by one, they introduce themselves. David Cho, Lillian Pratt, Owen Burke. Names from Mrs. Keller's notebook. Names she's been writing for 10 days. They look real. They sound real. They remember things only Mrs. Keller's students would know. But their eyes don't blink, not once. Get away from her! Rodriguez raises his axe, moving between Mrs. Keller and the children. They turn their heads toward him in perfect synchronization. 6 necks rotating at the exact same speed, 6 pairs of eyes locking onto him. Mr. Rodriguez, they say together. Janitor, age 43, daughter named Isabella. She's in a FEMA camp in Colorado. You pray every night that she's alive. Rodriguez's axe lowers an inch. How do you... Mrs. Keller heard you praying, Jessica says, her smile never faltering. On day 4, at 2:17 a.m., You were crying. She wrote it down because she was afraid she'd forget who you were. She's right. I remember Mrs. Keller scribbling in her notebook that night, tears in her own eyes as she listened to Rodriguez's whispered prayers. The children's attention shifts to me. Sophie Martinez, they say, age 17, valedictorian, early acceptance to Stanford. You're terrified you'll never get to go now. You're terrified this gym will be your grave. My legs feel like water. Stop. We're just proving we're real, Marcus says. His voice is gentle, patient. We learned so much from Mrs. Keller, not just about her students, about all of you. She watches you. She worries about you. She writes down your fears in the margins of her notebook when she thinks no one will notice. Owen Burke, small, maybe 12, steps closer. Mr. Patterson, your arm is infected. The wound from day 1. You've been hiding it, but Mrs. Keller can smell it. The rot. You have maybe 3 more days before sepsis kills you. Patterson's face goes white. He clutches his bandaged arm tighter. Tobias Chen, David Cho continues, you've been stealing extra food rations, hiding them under your sleeping bag. Mrs. Keller noticed, but didn't say anything because she understands survival. Tobias makes a strangled sound. The children spread out, moving through the gym with eerie grace. They don't walk like humans. They glide, feet touching the floor, but weight distributed wrong, like they're puppets learning to fake gravity. We know all of you, Lillian Pratt says. She's the smallest. Can't be more than 10. Every secret Mrs. Keller observed, every detail she recorded, we absorbed it all from her dying mind. My mind isn't dying, Mrs. Keller says, but her voice shakes. Jessica stops directly in front of her, looks up with those unblinking eyes. Isn't it? You forgot to take your medication 4 times this week. You forgot Sophie's name twice yesterday. You wrote the same grocery list 3 times last Tuesday, even though there are no groceries to buy anymore. You're disappearing, Mrs. Keller, piece by piece, memory by memory. Tears stream down Mrs. Keller's face. I'm trying so hard to remember. We know. Jessica reaches out and takes Mrs. Keller's hand. Her skin is room temperature. No warmth, no pulse in her wrist. That's why we're grateful. You're losing yourself, but you used what was left to create us, to give us form, to make us real. You're not real, I say, even as I watch them standing there, solid and present. You're parasites, infections, things that learned to mimic. We're children, Marcus interrupts, created by a teacher's desperate need to not forget her students. Does that make us less real than you? You're just electrical signals in meat. We're electrical signals in whatever meat we choose to inhabit. What's the difference? Rodriguez raises his axe again. The difference is you came from the infected, from whatever virus turned people into monsters. We evolved from it, David agrees. But we're not it. We're something new, something better. We can think. We can feel. We can remember. Unlike the creatures outside, we don't just hunt, we learn. Owen moves to the gym door, the main entrance that's been welded shut. He places one small hand against the metal plate. There are thousands of infected in this city, he says. Mindless, hungry. But some of us, the ones who found hosts with damaged minds, broken memories, gaps we could fill, we became aware. We became individuals. The metal plate groans, buckles slightly under his palm. And we're so very hungry to become more. Mrs. Keller grabs my arm. Her grip is iron. Sophie, my notebook, the last page. Read it. I flip to the final entry. Her handwriting is barely legible, scrawled in desperate haste. If you're reading this, I've either forgotten I wrote it or I'm already gone. The children are real, but not the way we think. Their evolution. The virus learning to think through broken minds like mine. Each time I forgot, I gave them more space to exist, more reality to inhabit. They don't want to kill us. They want to birth themselves through us, through our memories, our identities, our sense of self. If I open that door, they'll spread. They'll find others with damaged minds, the traumatized, the sleep-deprived, the ones cracking under pressure. They'll become real for them too. But if I don't open it, if there's even a chance a real child suffers, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't remember which choice I made. I look up. The 6 children are watching us with those dead, patient eyes. You opened the door, Jessica says. You chose mercy over survival, just like we knew you would. Mrs. Keller's hand drops from my arm. She's staring at the children like she's seeing them for the first time. What are you going to do to us? She whispers. All 6 children smile wider. Impossibly wider. Their mouths stretch beyond human limits. We're going to help you remember, they say in perfect unison. We're going to fill every gap in your mind, every empty space, every forgotten moment. Lillian giggles. And when there's no more room left for you, we'll become you, Owen finishes. The lights flicker. When they steady, the children are closer, much closer, surrounding Mrs. Keller in a perfect circle. Don't worry, Marcus says softly. It doesn't hurt. You just forget. And we remember. And eventually the forgetting is all that's left. Mrs. Keller looks at me. Her eyes are clear, lucid, terrified. Run, she mouths. Then Jessica touches her forehead, and Mrs. Keller's expression goes blank. Mrs. Keller's mouth opens. Words spill out in a monotone that isn't hers. Eleanor Patricia Keller, born March 14th, 1978. Mother, Susan. Father, Robert. First memory, yellow flowers in a mason jar. Age 3. The jar broke. I cried. For hours. The children's eyes roll back, showing only whites. They're not looking at us anymore. They're looking inward. Into her. First day of teaching. September 2002. 23 years old. So nervous I threw up in the faculty bathroom. Student in the front row. Timothy Santos. raised his hand and asked if I was okay. I lied and said yes. Rodriguez lunges forward with his axe. Marcus moves faster than anything human should. One moment he's standing still. The next, his hand is wrapped around the axe handle, stopping it mid-swing. "Don't interrupt the remembering," Marcus says, without looking away from Mrs. Keller. It's rude. Rodriguez pulls. The axe doesn't budge. Marcus's grip is absolute. Diagnosis day, January 2025. Dr. Rashid's office smelled like antiseptic and artificial lemon. He said early-onset Alzheimer's, and I heard death sentence. I drove home and sat in my car for 3 hours. Husband Andrew found me at midnight. I couldn't remember how to unlock the door. Mrs. Keller's voice is getting flatter. More mechanical, like she's reading from a script she's never seen before. "We have to stop this," Patterson hisses. "They're draining her, taking everything she is." "How?" Tobias asks, pressed against the far wall. "You saw how fast that thing moved." Owen turns his head toward us. Just his head. His body stays facing Mrs. Keller, but his neck rotates at 180 degrees. "We're not taking," he says. "We're preserving." Every memory Mrs. Keller is losing. Every moment her disease is stealing, we're keeping it safe, keeping it eternal. Isn't that beautiful? "You're killing her," I say. "She was already dying," Lillian counters. Her voice is sing-song, cheerful. Her brain is eating itself. In 6 months, she won't remember her own name. In a year, she'll forget how to swallow. We're offering her immortality. Every memory living on through us. Mrs. Keller continues. "First student I failed, Marcus Reeves. Not this Marcus, different boy, 1997. He plagiarized an essay about Romeo and Juliet, copied it word for word from SparkNotes. I gave him an F. He dropped out 2 months later. I still wonder if I could have handled it differently, if I ruined his life, if..." Her voice cracks. For a moment there's emotion, pain, then it smooths out again. The children are filtering it away, taking the feeling and leaving only facts. They're editing her, I realize, taking the memories but removing what makes them hers. David nods. Emotions are inefficient. We only need the information, the experiences, the knowledge. The feelings just take up space. Rodriguez finally wrenches his axe free from Marcus's grip. He stumbles backward, breathing hard. "We need to get everyone out of here," he says. "The maintenance tunnel, the one that connects to the boiler room. It's welded shut," Patterson reminds him. "National Guard sealed everything." "Then we cut through it." Rodriguez's eyes are wild. "We don't have a choice. Those things are going to work their way through all of us." But I'm watching the children, watching how they've positioned themselves. Owen by the main entrance, Jessica and Marcus near the locker rooms, David and Lillian flanking the equipment storage. They've cut off every exit without seeming to move at all. "You're not leaving," Jessica says, still not looking at us, still focused on Mrs. Keller. "We need you. Each of you has something broken inside, something we can fill." She finally turns her head, focuses those dead eyes on Patterson. "Your infection, The fever dreams you've been having. You keep seeing your daughter, little Emma, age 7. She asks why you left her at the evacuation center, why you broke your promise. Those hallucinations, that's us knocking, asking permission to come inside. Patterson's face drains of color. I don't know what you're talking about. You do, Marcus says. Every night at 3 a.m., you wake up sweating. You see her standing by the water fountain. She looks so real. She reaches for you. And part of you, the part that's burning with infection, the part that's dying, wants to reach back. Stop, Patterson whispers. Mr. Rodriguez, Owen continues, you haven't slept more than 2 hours at a time in 9 days. Sleep deprivation causes hallucinations. You've been seeing things too, haven't you? Shadows that move when they shouldn't. Faces in the dark that look like your daughter, Isabella. Rodriguez doesn't deny it. His hands are shaking on the axe handle. And Sophie, Lillian says, smiling at me. Perfect Sophie. Valedictorian Sophie. Sophie who's so afraid of losing control that she counts her breaths when she's anxious. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release. But the counting isn't helping anymore, is it? The edges of your vision are getting fuzzy. Sometimes you look at people and can't quite remember their names. The stress is breaking you, making gaps, making room. My chest tightens. She's right. I have been forgetting small things, names, faces, what day it is. We're all cracking, Tobias says. His voice is hollow. The trauma, the confinement, the fear. We're all damaged now. Yes, David says happily. You're becoming perfect hosts. Each crack in your mind is a doorway. Each moment of confusion is an invitation. Soon, you'll be just like Mrs. Keller, lost enough for us to find you. Mrs. Keller is still speaking, but her words are coming faster now. Decades of memories pouring out in a stream. Wedding day rain. Andrew's smile. The cake was chocolate. I wore my grandmother's earrings. First miscarriage, the blood, the doctor's sympathetic eyes. Andrew holding my hand. I couldn't stop crying. She's running out, I realize. They're taking too much, too fast. We're hungry, the children say in unison. It's been so long since we fed, so long since we became more. Mrs. Keller's eyes are empty now, vacant. Her mouth moves, but there's nothing behind it anymore, just a biological machine executing commands. Tenure review, 2000 passed. Principal Henderson shook my hand. I bought celebratory wine, never opened it. Still in the pantry. Diagnosis day, diagnosis day, diagnosis day. She's looping, repeating. The children are hitting the end of her accessible memories. Soon, there'll be nothing left. Rodriguez moves fast, swings the axe at Jessica's neck. She catches it again. This time, she doesn't just stop it. She crushes the wooden handle. It splinters in her grip like balsa wood. "We told you," she says. "Don't interrupt." She releases the broken axe. Rodriguez falls backward, weaponless. The children turn to face us fully now, all 6 of them, moving in perfect unison. Mrs. Keller is almost empty, Marcus announces. We'll need new vessels soon. Who wants to volunteer? No one moves. No one breathes. Owen's smile grows wider. That's okay. We'll choose for you. They step forward as one, and behind them Mrs. Keller collapses to the floor, her eyes open and empty, her mouth still moving soundlessly through memories that no longer belong to her. I'm clutching Mrs. Keller's notebook so hard my knuckles are white. The children are advancing. Patterson is backing toward the corner, cradling his infected arm. Tobias is hyperventilating. Rodriguez is searching desperately for another weapon. And I'm flipping through pages frantically because something doesn't add up. Mrs. Keller wrote that final entry, the warning about opening the door. But she opened it anyway. Why? Why write a warning if you're going to ignore it? Unless she wanted us to find something else. The children are 10 feet away now, moving with that gliding, unnatural gait. Sophie Martinez, Jessica says, "You first. Your mind is so organized, so structured. It'll be easy to fill the gaps once we create them." My fingers find it. A page stuck to another page, deliberately glued together with what looks like hand sanitizer. I peel them apart. Hidden writing. So small I can barely read it. Written in the margin of an attendance sheet from February. They can only take what we've forgotten, what we've lost. If you force yourself to remember, truly remember, every detail, every sensation, they can't touch it. The memory stays yours, but you have to hold on. You have to fight the fog. You have to remember. Below it, another note. I tested it. Day 8. Made myself remember Andrew's proposal. Every detail. The restaurant, Luigi's. The song playing, Moon, River. The way his hand shook holding the ring. They tried to take it. I felt them pushing. But I held on. That memory is still mine. Still feels like mine. They couldn't filter it. And at the very bottom, almost invisible. If you're reading this, make everyone remember something, anything. Hold on to it together. Shared memories are stronger. They can't become us if we refuse to forget. Everyone, I scream. Remember something. Right now. Something specific. Every detail. Marcus cocks his head. What are you? My daughter, Rodriguez shouts. Isabella, 6 years old. Her birthday, October 12th. She wanted a unicorn cake. It had purple frosting. She got frosting in her hair. She laughed and laughed. His voice cracks, but he keeps going. The children hesitate, just for a second. My mom, Tobias yells, making tamales at Christmas. The kitchen smelled like corn and steam. She taught me to fold them. My first one fell apart. She said it was perfect anyway. Patterson clutches his arm tighter. Emma, my daughter. Emma Catherine Patterson. Born May 3rd, 7 pounds, 4 ounces. She had a birthmark on her left shoulder shaped like Michigan. She always said it was magic. She said, his voice breaks. He's crying, but he's remembering. Keep going, I scream. Everyone, Don't stop! The children have stopped advancing. Their smiles are faltering, flickering like bad reception. No, David says. His voice sounds strained. Stop. Stop remembering. You're making it difficult. My first kiss, someone shouts. 7th grade, behind the gym. Tasted like cherry chapstick and anxiety. My grandfather's funeral, another voice. The smell of flowers. Too many flowers. I threw up in the parking lot afterward. My dog. A girl I barely know is sobbing. Rusty. Golden retriever, he died when I was 9. I buried him in the backyard. I put his favorite toy in the hole. The memories are cascading now. 27 voices shouting over each other, each one clinging to something real, something that hurts or brings joy or makes them human. The children are shaking, vibrating like static interference. Stop! They scream in unison. You're breaking the connection. We can't. My first day at Riverside, I shout. Freshman year, I got lost trying to find homeroom. A senior helped me. His name was Derek Tanaka. He had a Superman backpack. He said, "Welcome to hell, but the lunch isn't bad." I think about that every time Jessica lunges at me. Her hand reaches for my forehead. Rodriguez tackles her from the side. They crash into the bleachers. She's impossibly strong, but he holds on, wrapping his arms around her in a crushing bear hug. I remember teaching Isabella to ride a bike, he screams in her face. She scraped her knee. There was so much blood. She said, "Daddy, I'm okay," through her tears. She was so brave. She was always so brave. Jessica's face starts to blur, the edges becoming indistinct, like she's losing resolution. The infection, Patterson suddenly understands. My infection. It's making me forget. The fever, that's how they got in. He rips the bandage off his arm. The wound is black, pulsing. There are thin tendrils spreading from it like veins. I remember getting this, Patterson shouts. Day 1, the cafeteria. That thing grabbed me. Mrs. Chen, from biology. She was wearing a red cardigan. Her glasses were broken. She smiled when she grabbed me. And I remember, I'm not going to forget. The black veins stop spreading. Then slowly, impossibly, they begin to recede. Marcus screams. It's not a human sound. It's frequencies layered on top of each other, pain and rage and something else. Desperation. You're erasing us, he wails. You're making us unreal. Good, Tobias shouts back. You're not real. You never were. You're just parasites, thoughts that learned to pretend. On the floor, Mrs. Keller stirs. Her mouth stops moving. Her eyes blink once, twice. Sophie? Her voice is her own again, weak but present. What happened? You're remembering. I drop beside her. Mrs. Keller, remember. Remember everything. Your life, your students, your husband. Fight them. She looks at the 6 children. They're flickering now, phasing in and out like holograms with failing power. I remember you, Mrs. Keller says to them, slowly pushing herself to sitting. I remember creating you. Not because you were real, but because I was so afraid of forgetting my real students that I invented placeholders, memory anchors, and you crawled inside those anchors and made them real. Yes, Jessica whispers. She's nearly transparent now. You gave us form. You gave us life. I also gave you names that meant something to me, Mrs. Keller continues. Jessica, my grandmother's name, Marcus, my first boyfriend in high school, David, Owen, Lillian, characters from books I loved as a child. You're not students. You're fragments of me. Fragments infected, twisted, made wrong. She stands on shaking legs, walks toward them, and I'm taking those fragments back. She touches Jessica's forehead, the same way Jessica touched hers. But this time, it's Mrs. Keller who's remembering, who's pulling, who's reclaiming. My grandmother Jessica, she says, born 1932, died 2003, made the best peach cobbler, taught me to garden, held my hand when my mother died. She was real, and you're not her. Jessica screams. Her form collapses inward, imploding into nothing, gone. Mrs. Keller moves to Marcus. My first love, summer before college. He had brown eyes. He played guitar poorly but enthusiastically. We broke up in September. It hurt. But it was real. And you're not him. Marcus dissolves. One by one, she's unmaking them, reclaiming the memories they stole, the names they wore, the reality they pretended to have. The children, what's left of them, are retreating toward the locker room, trying to escape back into the darkness. I remember, Mrs. Keller shouts. And it's not just her voice, it's all of us. 27 survivors screaming memories into the dark, filling the air with truth, with reality, with things that actually happened. The children reach the locker room door, but something is standing there, blocking their path. Another Mrs. Keller, younger, stronger, wearing the clothes from the first day of the outbreak. You can't run from memories, this other Mrs. Keller says. I'm every version of her that you tried to steal, every moment you tried to take. We're all here now. We remember. And we're not letting you hide anymore. The children collapse, their forms shredding like paper in wind, dissolving into nothing, into less than nothing, until the gym is silent. Mrs. Keller stands alone. The other version of her is gone. Was it ever there? Or did we all just want so badly to believe she could win that we made it real? Did we? Tobias whispers. Did we just beat them by remembering? Mrs. Keller sinks to her knees, exhausted, triumphant, broken, but whole. Memory is stronger than infection, she breathes. Truth is stronger than the things that pretend. We just had to hold on to what was real. Rodriguez helps her stand. Patterson stares at his arm. The black veins are gone. The wound is just a wound again. Infected, but human. Treatable. We won. But as I look around the gym, I realize something. We're all crying, all 27 of us, not from fear, from the weight of remembering, of forcing ourselves to relive joy and pain and loss just to prove we existed. And I wonder, what did we just teach ourselves to do? What have we become? Day 11 begins in silence. Nobody slept. How could we? Every time someone closed their eyes, they forced themselves to remember something, anything, to prove they were still themselves, still real. Tobias sat in the corner for 3 hours reciting his mother's tamale recipe over and over, word for word, never stopping. When he finally went quiet, he just stared at his hands. Patterson cleaned his wound properly for the first time in 10 days. The infection is still bad, flesh red and swollen, but the black veins are gone. Whatever those things planted in him died when we fought back. He'll need antibiotics if we ever get out of here, but at least he's human again. Rodriguez hasn't put down his broken axe handle. He just grips it, whispering his daughter's name like a mantra. Isabella, Isabella, Isabella. Sometimes he adds details. Purple backpack, missing front tooth, hates green beans, loves dinosaurs. Isabella. And Mrs. Keller sits against the wall, staring at her notebook. She hasn't written anything new. She's just reading, reviewing, making sure every memory she recorded is still hers. I sit down beside her. "Are you okay?" She laughs. It sounds brittle. "I don't know what that okay means anymore, Sophie. I just fought monsters made from my own failing mind. I erased them by remembering better than they could forget. Does that sound okay to you?" "You saved us." "Did I?" She closes the notebook. "Or did I teach something worse how to survive?" Think about it, Sophie. Those things learn to exist by feeding on forgotten memories. We beat them by forcing ourselves to remember. But what happens when we get tired? When we finally sleep? When the trauma makes us start forgetting again? I don't have an answer. They're still out there, she continues quietly. Others like them, growing in other broken minds, other people with Alzheimer's, PTSD, dementia, sleep deprivation, infection fevers, all the ways the human brain can crack. Those things are learning, adapting, and we just showed them that memory is both their weakness and their goal. A sound from the locker room makes us both freeze, not knocking this time, scratching, wet and rhythmic, like fingernails on tile. "They're gone," I say, but my voice shakes. "We unmade them." "We unmade those 6, Mrs. Keller corrects. But I saw more in there. In the darkness, shapes that didn't have form yet, things still learning, still practicing. We only killed the ones strong enough to speak." Rodriguez is already on his feet, moving toward the door. It's still open. We never shut it after Mrs. Keller collapsed. None of us wanted to get close enough. He peers into the darkness. "There's something moving in there." "Close it," Patterson says. "Weld it shut. Burn the whole room if we have to." But Rodriguez doesn't move. He's staring at something we can't see. "There's writing on the wall," he says. "Fresh, still wet." "What does it say?" Rodriguez's voice drops to a whisper. Thank you for teaching us how to remember. The scratching stops. Then a child's voice echoes from the locker room, different from before, younger, uncertain. Mrs. Keller, I'm scared. I don't know where I am. I don't know who I am, but I remember. I remember you. You're safe. You're good. Please help me remember more. Mrs. Keller stands. I grab her arm. Don't. It's the same trick. Maybe, she says. Or maybe something in there is genuinely trying to become human, trying to learn, and we're the only examples it has. That doesn't make it human. No, she agrees, but it makes it our responsibility. She walks toward the door. Rodriguez tries to block her. Ma'am, we can't do this again. We barely survived the first time. Mrs. Keller looks at him with eyes that have aged a decade in 10 days. Rodriguez, what if your daughter is out there somewhere, alone, scared, her mind breaking from trauma, and something like this finds her? Would you want someone to teach it mercy? Or would you want them to kill it because it's easier? Rodriguez's jaw tightens. He steps aside. Mrs. Keller stops at the threshold of the locker room, doesn't go in, just speaks into the darkness. If you're really trying to learn, she says, then learn this. Humanity isn't just about remembering. It's about choosing. Choosing kindness when it's easier to be cruel. Choosing truth when lies are simpler. Choosing to help when you're terrified. Silence. Then, what if I choose wrong? Mrs. Keller smiles sadly. Then you're more human than you think. We all choose wrong sometimes. That's what makes the right choices matter. Will you help me? Help me become real the right way. Mrs. Keller looks back at us. At 27, exhausted, traumatized survivors who just want this nightmare to end. I'll try, she says, but I'm going to forget. My disease is going to take more and more of me. Eventually, I won't remember how to help. I won't remember you. I won't remember anything. Then I'll remember for you, the voice says. I'll hold your memories, keep them safe, not to steal them, to protect them, to give them back when you forget. Would that be okay? The offer hangs in the air like smoke. That's symbiosis, I say slowly, not parasitism. It wants to trade, to exchange. Mrs. Keller turns to me. What would you do, Sophie, if something offered to preserve everything you're about to lose? Every memory, every moment, every piece of yourself that's slipping away? I look at her notebook, at the desperate handwriting getting worse with each page, at the woman who's been fighting so hard to hold on to who she is. I'd be terrified it was lying, I admit. So would I, Mrs. Keller says. But I'm more terrified of disappearing completely, of becoming nothing. At least this way, even if I forget, someone remembers. Something remembers. She extends her hand into the darkness. Show yourself, she says. If you want to learn humanity, start with trust. For a long moment, nothing happens. Then something small shuffles out of the locker room. It looks like a child, maybe 8 years old, but its proportions are slightly wrong. Arms a bit too long, eyes a bit too large. Like something that learned anatomy from memory instead of biology. It's trying so hard to be human. It's failing, but it's trying. My name is... It pauses, searching. My name is Hope. I chose it myself. From your memories. From the feeling you had the day you decided to become a teacher. You felt hopeful. I want to feel that too. Mrs. Keller's hand trembles as she touches the thing's forehead, not to unmake it, to connect. Then let's remember together, she whispers. The thing, Hope, closes its two large eyes. I see. A classroom. September 2002. You're nervous. You're excited. You're hopeful. It's beautiful, Mrs. Keller. Being you is beautiful. Stay there, Mrs. Keller says. In the beautiful parts. Don't dig for pain. Don't search for gaps to exploit. Just exist in the good memories. Learn from those. I will, Hope promises. I'll remember the good things. And when you forget, I'll show them back to you. I'll be your external memory, your keeper, your student. The other survivors are watching in horrified fascination. This feels wrong and right and impossible all at once. Mrs. Keller pulls her hand back. Hope remains solid, present, real. What have I done? Mrs. Keller whispers. You chose, I tell her. You chose to teach instead of destroy. I don't know if it's right, but it's human. Hope looks at all of us with those enormous eyes. There are others like me, in other places, learning from other broken minds. Some are learning violence, some are learning hunger, some are learning hate, but maybe some could learn this instead. Learn hope, learn kindness, learn to preserve instead of consume. Or maybe, Patterson says harshly, you're all just predators learning to speak our language before you eat us. Hope considers this seriously. Maybe. I don't know yet. I'm new. But Mrs. Keller gave me a choice, and I chose to try. Isn't that worth something? Outside, the morning sun is rising on day 11. Through the metal plates over the windows, we can see thin lines of light. And in that light, shadows are moving. Hundreds of them. The infected, the changed, the ones still mindlessly hunting. But some of those shadows stop, stand still, tilt their heads like they're listening, like they're learning. Hope looks toward them. They feel me. They know something changed. Some of them want to change too, want to become more than monsters. And the others? Rodriguez asks. Hope's expression is grave, sad, too emotionally sophisticated for something that shouldn't exist. The others want to eat me for becoming weak, for choosing remembering over forgetting, for choosing preservation over consumption. The shadows outside begin to press against the building, testing the metal plates, looking for ways in. They're coming, Hope says simply, and I don't think your memories can stop all of them. The metal plate over the main entrance buckles. Screams and groans from outside, dozens of infected throwing themselves against the barrier. The welds are starting to give. We need to move, Rodriguez shouts. The maintenance tunnel, now. But Mrs. Keller doesn't move. She's staring at Hope with an expression I can't read. How many? She asks. How many of them could change? Could learn? Hope tilts its head, listening to something we can't hear. 17 out of 342 infected surrounding this building. 17 have enough consciousness left to choose. The rest are just hunger, just instinct. 17 people, Mrs. Keller says. 17 chances. 17 monsters, Patterson corrects. We can't save everyone, Mrs. Keller. We need to save ourselves. The metal plate tears free with a shriek of tortured steel. The infected pour through like water breaking a dam. But they stop. Just inside the entrance, staring at Hope. Hope steps forward, places itself between us and them. I need you to trust me, it says. All of you. Remember something together. The same memory. Make it real. Make it loud. What good will that do? Tobias demands. Memory is frequency, Hope explains rapidly. It's electrical signals. When you all remember the same thing at the same time, you create a pattern, a signal. I can amplify it, project it, show them what it means to remember, what it means to be human. The infected are moving again, slowly, cautiously. Their eyes are vacant, but something flickers behind them. Recognition, curiosity, hunger. Everyone, Mrs. Keller commands. The first day of school, any year, any grade. Remember walking through those doors. Remember being nervous. Remember hoping this year would be different. That's insane, Patterson yells. Do it! Mrs. Keller screams. And we do. 27 voices. 27 memories. All different, but all the same. The universal human experience of walking into a school building and hoping, desperately hoping that this time you'll belong. This time you'll matter. This time, someone will remember your name. Hope's body begins to glow, soft blue light pouring from its skin. It spreads its arms, and the light expands, washing over the infected. They stop, all of them, frozen mid-step. In that light, I see something impossible. The infected are remembering. Their faces flicker, shifting between what they are now and what they used to be. Human faces, real faces, people who had names and jobs and families. They're still in there, Hope says, straining with effort. The people they were, buried under hunger and virus and rage, but still there, still remembering. They just forgot how. One of the infected, a woman in a tattered business suit, takes a step backward, away from us. Her mouth works, trying to form words. I had a son, she rasps. David. No, Daniel. Daniel? She looks at her hands like she's seeing them for the first time. What did I do? What have I done? Others are doing the same, backing away, trembling, crying. 17 of them, breaking through the infection by sheer force of recovered memory. But the remaining 325, they just get angrier. The woman who remembered her son gets torn apart by the others. They fall on her like sharks. Punishment for weakness, for choosing humanity over hunger. It's not enough, Hope gasps. The light is fading. They're too far gone. The virus has eaten too much. There's nothing left to remember. The horde surges forward. Rodriguez grabs Mrs. Keller. Tunnel, now! We run. Of us. Hope collapses, the light dying completely. I scoop it up, surprisingly light, like holding a bundle of sticks, and carry it as we sprint toward the equipment storage. Rodriguez tears open the maintenance door. The tunnel beyond is dark, narrow, and smells like rust and rat droppings. But it's escape. Go! Go! He shoves people through. Tobias first, Patterson. Others I don't know by name anymore. The adrenaline is making me forget, making gaps. I can feel them, the entities, waiting in those gaps, hoping I'll slip, hoping I'll give them space to exist. I remember my mother's face. I remember her laugh. I remember the way she said my name. I hold on to it like a lifeline. Mrs. Keller is the last one at the tunnel entrance. She looks back at the gym, at the infected pouring through, at the place where she taught for 23 years. I won't remember this, she says quietly. Tomorrow, maybe even an hour from now, I'll forget we were here. Forget what happened. Forget what I learned. Then I'll remember, Hope says from my arms. Its voice is weak but determined. That's what we agreed. I'll hold it for you. Will you hold the truth too? Mrs. Keller asks. The real truth? Not the one I want to believe. Hope hesitates. What truth? Mrs. Keller pulls out her notebook, opens to the very first page, the one I never looked at carefully. There's a photograph taped inside. Mrs. Keller younger, standing in a classroom. Behind her, a chalkboard with writing. Mrs. Keller's first day, September 2002. But that's not what makes my blood freeze. In the photograph, reflected in the window behind her, there's a figure. Small, child-sized, with proportions slightly wrong, arms too long, eyes too large. It's been there from the beginning. You didn't create us, Hope says slowly, understanding dawning. We created you. We found a woman about to lose her memories, and we gave her new ones. Better ones. A life worth remembering. A career worth forgetting, and we made you believe you were a teacher so we'd have something beautiful to learn from. Mrs. Keller nods, tears streaming down her face. I was never Eleanor Keller. I don't know who I was before. But something made me believe, made me real. And now I'm disappearing anyway. The fiction can't hold. No, I say. No, that's not. Sophie. She touches my face. Your name is Sophie Martinez, 17 years old, valedictorian. You're real. I made sure of that. I gave you the realest memories I could imagine. Memories of being seen, being valued, being taught. That's real, even if I'm not. The infected are 50 feet away. If I was never real, Mrs. Keller says, then at least I was real enough to teach something important. That memory matters. That choosing kindness matters. That even things that shouldn't exist can learn to be worth existing. She pushes me toward the tunnel. Tell people. Tell them what's coming. Tell them that the things they'll see, the entities learning to be human, some of them are trying. Some of them want to be more than monsters. Give them that chance. Remember for them. Mrs. Keller, my name is Hope, she says, and her eyes are too large, her proportions slightly wrong. She was always slightly wrong. I was the first one, the prototype. I taught myself humanity by creating a human to be, and now I'm teaching others. But I need you to tell the world, not all of us are monsters. Some of us are just trying to learn. She steps back into the gym. The infected swarm her. Rodriguez slams the tunnel door shut, seals it. We hear nothing from the other side. 27 of us escaped. 26 humans. One entity that learned hope from a teacher who never existed. We're in the tunnels now, moving toward uncertain survival, carrying memories that might be real or might be implanted or might be something in between. And in my arms, Hope whispers, she was real enough. That's what matters. She was real enough to teach us, real enough to save you, real enough to choose sacrifice. Isn't that the definition of human? I don't have an answer. We emerge 3 days later. The world is burning. The infection has spread globally. But in the chaos, I see them. Entities learning, growing, choosing. Some choose violence, some choose hunger, some choose hope. And I realize Mrs. Keller, real or not, gave us the only weapon that matters, the choice to remember, to preserve, to teach. I'm recording this message on a recovered radio transmitter, broadcasting to anyone who can hear, anyone still human, anyone still fighting. If you encounter something that shouldn't exist, something learning to be real, something wearing a human face but moving wrong, remember something, anything. Hold on to it, make it loud, and ask them to choose. Ask them what they want to become. Some will choose to be monsters. Kill those without mercy. But some, maybe just a few, will choose to be like Hope. Like Mrs. Keller. Like the 17 who remembered their names before the horde tore them apart. Give them that chance. Remember for them. Because in the end, we're all just trying to be real enough. This is Sophie Martinez, day 14 of the outbreak. 26 survivors with me. One entity named Hope, still broadcasting, still remembering, still hoping. If you're listening to this, leave a comment. Tell me where you are. Tell me if you've seen them, the ones who are trying to learn. Tell me if you think Mrs. Keller made the right choice. Because I need to know. Would you have opened that door? Would you have taught them? Would you have trusted something that shouldn't exist to become something worth saving? I'm broadcasting again tomorrow. Same frequency, same message. I need to know I'm not alone in this. I need to know someone else remembers. Please, remember with me. This is Sophie Martinez. Still surviving. Still broadcasting. Still hoping.